Hello everyone, it is Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life, and I am here to do an album share. This one in particular is a postbound album. Now, I do not normally do postbound. However, it is documenting a vacation my family went on last year. And it did happen to kind of just fit. It is bulging a little, but it did kind of just fit. So I went ahead and grabbed it, and I love that it says Adventures, and I really like the bright blue. So I had originally bought this album for my son, thinking I could do it for his school album because that would be a condensed album as well. However, I've added way too much bulk, and so it doesn't fit in this, and we're going to use it for this instead. And it does have a little latch, which is nice. It does kind of keep it a little bit in there. So for this particular album, I used one entire collection, which is the Paige Evans Go the Scenic Route collection. I guest designed for Scrapbook Your Joy using the collection. I used it for my How to Kill a Kit with Style 1 month, and just a whole bunch of things. So lots and lots of fun. I love these layouts, and I'm excited to share with you. So starting off is this really fun layout with a road sign cut file with the photos of my kids in the car before we were going, like waiting. I think we were stopped at Tim Hortons here. And then the road map to where we were going. So from our house to where we were going, which was Harrison Hot Springs. And there's a little photo right here. I do not know how well you can see that, but it is the sign that says welcome to Harrison. I did a fun little shaker here. I love this. I don't know how well it's going to work because it's in an album, but it, yeah, so it's got lots of fun little sequins in there from Sweet and Lone Scraps, some felts, and a couple pieces of acrylic, flare there. And then everything else is just using the collection where I could fit it. So that's the opening page. And then it flows into when we first got there. And it starts with this one here. I'm just trying to make sure it's in frame and there's not too much glare, so you might have to work with me a little bit. And this one was really fun. I'm pretty sure I used a sketch for this one. And I went ahead and I haven't done all the journaling. I've noticed I've kind of forgot to go in and do the journaling, but the kids got to get out and they were so excited to be out of the car because we don't normally drive for a long period of time at once. That's just not something we've really ever done before. And this was our very first kind of big family vacation. So just a photo of the scenery and my kids up on the rocks, just excited to be out of the car and just excited to be there. So I put that start here, and the perfect day awaits, because it was just the fun and the adventure of what was going to happen. And then Jackson, when we first got there, there's this really cool play area that's in the water. He was we didn't do it, but he loved it. He thought it was really cool. He was excited we were there, and he just had to show us how excited he was by doing this pose. So I went ahead and documented that on its own. I did try to get them a few pages of them just on their own and then some mixed together. I used a pattern paper on this one that was a very bright pink, and it was just a little too much. So I just simply used some acrylic paint to kind of whitewash it so it wasn't quite so bright. And then stickers from my stash to write Summer in Paradise. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm very happy with how that one turned out as well. It's another one of my favorites. Okay, so then it goes into this layout, which is again just the scenery, and it is not the same scenery from the other photo, but it was so gorgeous there, and I took so many photos of just the lake and how pretty it was. And so I just wanted to document it on its own. So I just simply titled it Take Me Away. And this was scrap lifting actually myself from a layout I had created a long time ago. And so it was fun to kind of just recreate what I had done a long time ago with a larger photo and just a string of embellishments kind of hanging down. So I'll really happy with that one. And I got some of the bird ephemera used up in that one. Here's one that has some shaker pockets that I kind of messed up on, so all the sequins are down at the bottom down there, but that's okay. It is a cut file from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And then the photos are of Nora and myself right when we got there. The way that this lake works is there's this big lake called Harrison Lake, but there's this little kind of offshoot area where some of the water flows into. And I mean, it's not necessarily something I would have gone swimming in, but it was a good way to get the kids used to it. They dipped their toes in it, and it was kind of a little bit more kid friendly, especially when we first got there. So that's where we are. And Nora was a little, I mean, she was wet, but she didn't like to be in the water for very long, so she hung out with me on the shore for a good portion of it. So I just did Go See Do with some thickers. These thickers are from the collection. These ones are just from my stash. And then this is my boys at that same area at that same time. Still kind of right when we got there, we just started to walk around to see what we were doing. And Jackson's throwing a stick in the water there, and Barrett has his feet in there. And I just love the shot. The way the sun was shining, the shot just was really, really pretty. So the perfect beach day. And then this was a scrap lift of Cassie Box from Paper Issues. Very happy with how that one turned out. And then I had to, of course, make sure that I got Sean in here. Obviously, he was on vacation with us. Adventure Lakeside with Daddy. And then I got some of the florals. I got a cut file used up there. And there's Barrett with Sean, and then Sean with Barrett and Nora. They're having some fun. That's about as far as they went in. Nora, she liked the water, but she wasn't in it for very long, and Barrett was a little leery, but he did get better as time went on there. Still pretty little when we were on this vacation. I did make sure to get a photo of just Sean and I. I tried very hard, so had to document that of us together, and then again another scenic photo. Really fun. I'm pretty sure this was a sketch. There's another cut file there, and then I just used lots of florals to kind of back it and highlight this cute little heart that I hand stitched around after doing a stencil effect on it. So that one's really cool. I don't know if it's just because it's documenting Sean and I, I'm not sure, but this is one of my favorite layouts of the whole thing. And then my toes in the sand. I did not go full on swimming. That's just not something I was into. The water was cold. And I just didn't want to do it. So, but I did get my feet in, and I had painted my toes because I knew we were going on vacation. So again, another scenic photo with that, and just toes in the sand. This is definitely from a sketch that I was working on when I created this one. Lots of little bits here. So I was probably closer to the end of the collection when I made this one. And then after that, we went and checked into the hotel. And as we were walking down, before we did any more, we found this really cool sandcastle art. And of course, this was still, so this was summer of 2020. So COVID was still happening and all of that. And I guess normally they have these really cool sandcastle like event, and it's like a competition, and a bunch of people build massive sandcastles, but they couldn't do that this year. So this was just the one that they did do, and Nora loved it. She's like, Mommy, it's like a princess castle. And so she had to get her photo with it. I used a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict to kind of document that, and that it was just sandcastle art and how cool it was. And she thought it was the coolest thing ever. She really, really loved that, which was neat and fun to be able to document and kind of do a really girly page. We then went and got some ice cream, which was delicious. And Jackson is not actually one to normally eat a bunch of ice cream, but he will have chocolate ice cream when it's in a cone during summer. It's about the only time he'll eat it, and it's always fun to document because, like I said, he doesn't, whereas Nora will devour it anytime. She doesn't care. It could be snowing outside and she wants ice cream. So again, I used a cut file, Confessions of a Paper Addict. I did some misting, so there's a pink and a green one to kind of represent them. And I think at this time Barrett was napping. You can see my ice cream there, and then I didn't capture a photo shot on that one. Again, with a whitewash effect, so it kind of dimmed down a little bit of the brightness of this particular pattern paper. And then the rest is from the collection there. And the final thing I think we did, the final thing we did that day, so it was our first day, is we went and walked to actually go see the hot spring. We didn't stay in the hotel, so there is a hotel called Harrison Hot Springs Hotel, which the hot spring feeds into that hotel, so you can go there. We weren't at that one, we stayed at a different hotel, but you could still go walk and see it. So we went ahead and did that. And we had someone that was willing to take our photo, get close enough to us for me to hand them my phone so that we could take a photo. And I got that one. So this is, again, a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. Lots of the florals. I used so many florals on this one. Love it. I believe I was scrap lifting Daisy for this one, who is Daisy Scraps. And yeah, so just a few little bits. I know this was towards the end, so I'm using like a pre-mixed media background versus the backgrounds from the collection. This is a Vicki Boutin one, but I like it. So there's green going on, even though we're not wearing green, you know, we're outside and all of that. So I'm very happy with that one as well. Here's the very last layout I actually made for this album, and I made it for this past 30 days of sketches, which was round 8. And this is us walking to that hot springs. So they're a little off, but I like the balance of how it worked like this. So just a close-up of Barrett and I, because Barrett had to be in the stroller. Again, he's pretty little here, so it's not like he could just walk the whole way. And then the kids went off into the woods and kind of explored and had some fun. They walked over the hot spring area, like lake thing, on this huge log, and Jackson loved that. He thought that was just the coolest thing ever. So they were excited about that. They had fun. Which brings us to the hotel stay. So we stayed at, I think it's just called Harrison Hotel. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It was really pretty. There was no air conditioning, and we were there in August, and it was very hot, and we did not sleep well. Barrett struggled. He had the worst sleep ever. So it was a very long night for me, but it was pretty, and I got some really cute shots. A couple of them are just from grabbing them off of the internet, and then a couple of them are mine. I again am thinking it was from a sketch, but lots of little bits and pieces used up, a tiny bit of mixed media, which is awesome. And then some sequins from Twinkle Mom's Scraps as well. Which then leads us into this one, which is just a really funny one of Jackson. He was into yoga and being yoga dude at the time. And so he's like, Mom, look at me. And I just titled it, Relax, Namaste in Bed. So really funny. This was a scrap lift for sure. I just can't remember who I scrap lifted it from, but I used a ton of sequins and then lots of layers of pattern paper. This was again towards the end of the collection, so I was trying to use things up, and this was a great way to go ahead and do that. Okay, we're almost done, almost halfway there. Okay, so on to the second day. So this was us going to breakfast. There's this fun little area, which is actually this area right here, and it was like a koi pond and stuff, and Nora just loved it. She's like, so pretty. And so I used this background that is a cut file from Paige Evans. I think it was from, I can't remember what release it's from. It was not from this collection release though, but it was, there is a piece that did not, okay. I can't remember. Anyways, I backed it with the scraps of my scraps, and then did some fun little sequin stitching, which I loved. Layered the photos there, clustered it, titled it Paradise Found. So that is part of the collection. That was just in my stash, and called it good because the cut file was impactful enough. It didn't need much, and it really just kind of highlights her loving that little area right there. It was very peaceful. And of course, because it was COVID, it was quite it just wasn't busy because there weren't a lot of people out, which was lovely. This one is also a scrap lift. This is Scrap Lifting Crystal from Pineapple Papers. And this is my my boys with Bigfoot. It's very prominent there. Bigfoot is just kind of, you know, he's in the woods there. So there's just a lot about him all over the place. And I had to kind of document that because it was neat. Jackson really enjoyed that part of it as well. So I did a fun little mixed media technique in the background, and I did some fringe pattern paper with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photos on that one, which is awesome, and some sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps. And this is definitely towards the end because it's just the little bits that I could find to make work for it. Whereas this one is one that I did right at the beginning. So I had all the paper and all the stuff and I could do whatever I wanted. I made a fun little shaker pocket there. I love this photo. They're holding hands, being nice for a moment. Doesn't happen all the time. I took little 3x3 squares and then roughed up the edges, and I did some stitching. Used a frame and a few pieces, one of the large chipboard pieces, and just had fun with this one. I remember creating this one and really enjoying it. So there is that one, and that's just us walking out towards the water for our second day at the beach. And this is at that exact same time of Nora. She's just my little ray of sunshine, so that is what I titled it, using a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. And then I just got a few little bits and pieces used up on this one too. So that was a nice way to use up the collection without it being too crazy. And I love this heart paper, so it was a great way to go ahead and use that up and document just the sweet photo of my girl with her glasses, and she has this really cute shirt that has little birds on it, and she's rocking some new pink shoes. She thought she was pretty cool. So yes, I really love that layout. That's another one of my favorites. This one's okay. I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite. It didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted, but it was kind of just some extra photos. So I had this one that I really liked the angle I had taken the photo of. This is at the beach for day 2. And then I have these kind of extra shots. So I layered them there, but then the fact that this is a moon cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict, you cannot tell it's a moon. So that part kind of bugs me, but then I'm like, yeah, it just looks like a circle and it's fine. But this one, I got all those little epoxy stickers used up, and I was so happy because those are like enamel dots to me and I struggle with them, but I got them all. I got lots of them used up on that one. So that made me really happy. And then I just use a pre-mixed media background for this one with the border from the pattern paper and just a few other little bits. I had to document our vacay. I'm missing a Y, and every time I see that, I notice it, and I'm gonna fix that right now. Sorry about all the noise. I'm sure that's very annoying. Okay. So we did our vacay from Bear Bear's POV. Again, was just a baby, so it's not like he got to do a lot. He just was kind of along for the ride, and so I definitely wanted to get that documented, and I just took some of my favorite shots of him. There's him at the hotel, on the beach, at the beach, and then him with me, which I already documented that earlier, but you know, he was with me a lot. So I love this. It's very simplistic. I was following a sketch, but I felt like this was a nice resting space, especially next to the kind of craziness that was of this one. So I feel like it works. And I kind of think I will have some journaling. I will go back and journal this eventually, but I think I'll probably just have a nice little list of journaling there. So it kind of talks about him, and he's all wrapped up in one layout that way. And then we come to the very last page. That's probably my least favorite layout of the whole thing, but it documents something that was very important to Jackson, which was doing something. Like I said, he wanted to get out on this play thing that it was expensive, and someone had to go with him, and it was going to be multiple hours worth, and Sean and I are just like, this isn't happening this time. So next time we come, maybe when Nora's a little bit older, we can talk about it. but they did get to rent these fun little boats that shoot water, and you only had to be 5 to drive, which I think is a little crazy, but okay. So Jackson got to drive his own, and that just made his entire vacation. He talked about this for weeks, and it also meant that Nora got to go. So Sean got very squished, but Nora got to go too, and they just had a blast. So it was his one thing he really wanted to do, and he got to do it right. We kind of did this, walked around. I got my little gift from the gift shop, and then we loaded up and went home. So this was really like the last thing we did on our vacation, but he loved it. So there you go. You can see I left room for journaling, and yeah, I was following a sketch, and I don't know if it's this blue. I don't know what exactly it is, but it's just not my favorite layout, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be, because this album is done. It documents our really fun vacation, our first family vacation, which is important to document. And I love that I was actually able to use an entire collection to do that. I don't scrapbook this way very often, where it's an entire collection documenting one thing. I normally mix it up, but I felt like this was just perfect. So I hope you enjoyed. If you do have any questions, please leave them below. I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. And let me know what you think, and maybe what your favorite layout was as well. I always like to know what other people's favorites are. I find it really interesting to see what we all like. So, all right, there you have it. I hope you're all having a fabulous day, and I will see you all again soon. Bye, everyone. Bye.